Men don't really approach women that much anymore for a lot of different reasons, I think. But personally, I want to be approached. I would love to meet someone in real life versus online. And as long as it's a respectful approach, I'm always going to be nice. Even if I'm not interested, I'm never going to be rude to the guy. But I think as women, we have to give a signal that we are interested before most men will feel like it's okay to like actually approach you. Personally, I'm not going to approach a man. That's not me, but I will make it clear that I'm interested. I will pretty much give him an open invitation to approach me through eye contact, smiling at him, physically like getting closer to him in whatever vicinity that we're in. And if he doesn't take that invitation, then I would just assume he's taken or he doesn't have the confidence to come up to me, which just means he's not for me. I'm gonna try harder to meet people in real life.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, turns out that men are no longer that much invested into dating. And you see this woman, right, just grabbing her head, thinking, oh, where did we go wrong? Now, it's true that women have taken us this far in the wrong direction. But anyway, gentlemen and ladies, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the desert. Today we have 50% wholesome, 50% I want to pull my eyes out of my sockets. So let's get started with the rather wholesome part, which is this, right? It doesn't get any better than this, guys, but hey, she doesn't yell, which at this point is a green flag. She has a massive rag that you can't see on screen, which makes me wonder, why is she single? But anyway, guys, we'll leave that question for the philosophers. Let's go instead to this shorty right here that is also very confused, and let's see what she has to say.
How to find a boyfriend in Germany. Number 1, get out of the house and keep walking. Don't go back home because it's dark and gray. Keep walking. Go to a coffee shop or go to a park and just be there for a bit. Look pretty, feel pretty, be happy. Like, do all the inner work you can do before you go to the park. And then a German man will come to you. That's just how it works here.
So we've reached a point, gentlemen, where, again, you see women, they're starting to panic a bit, right? The first one is like, hey, men are not hitting me up anymore. The second one is giving advice on how to catch a man. When just 5 years ago, these women didn't even think about that because they couldn't pass a minute of the day without getting hit on, right? So I tell you guys, the tides are shifting. Now my question is, does this woman qualify as a cutie patootie?
Number 1.
You let me know, guys. I will give her that title personally. But yeah, regarding the content of what she said, it's really that easy, guys. Women just have to look pretty and then go sit on a bench in a park, and that pretty much cuts it for the whole game they have to play. It's that easy, really. So yeah, that's it. No need for black cat energy, no need for manifesting, no need for the universe to step in. You can just look pretty, and then if you're not a horrible, horrendous human individual, men will actually stick around. Interestingly, you know. But now, guys, enough with the wholesome part, enough with the women who don't shout and are polite and are attractive. Let's go to this one. Debunking red pill arguments. Now, I haven't watched this one. I wanted to save it for you guys, so let's watch it together. There's this comment here that says, the red pill answer will probably be that the woman's benefit is to skin you dry at the divorce. And this woman is going to provide, right, debunking arguments. Let's go into it. I'm all up for a good debate, you know? I'm all up for a challenge, so challenge my beliefs, woman.
So the benefit of marriage to a woman is divorce. And before we debunk this one, this is why I always say you have to flip the question and reverse it. And, you know, these red pill men are talking about what's the benefit of a marriage to a man. Just ask them the same question. What's the benefit of a marriage to a woman? They can't tell you. Another thing that you'll find about, you know, these red pill answers is that none of them are well researched. All of this is like anecdotal and Twitter-based evidence. None of this is real life. I spent years in men's and women's spaces on the internet trying to get to the bottom of all this stuff. And
no, you spent years being indoctrinated and brainwashed. which is how you came up to be an insufferable feminist. This is not research. She says, oh man, it's just anecdotal. This is not real life, guys. You have all the studies there. Women initiating 70% of the divorces, how women who get like a promotion at work are more likely to divorce, how women with high body counts tend to divorce more often, you know, how more spoiled women tend to leave relationships more often and divorce more often and be a pain in the ass more often. All of that is in the studies, but of course she wouldn't look at that. Oh, I've spent years trying to get to the bottom of this. No, you haven't. You just simply haven't. Because the studies are all there, which I don't need the studies. Again, I bring this point so often. I don't need the studies. God has blessed me with a bright mind. I can come to conclusions on my own without some asshole I don't even know telling me about it. Okay, the studies are there to reinforce and probably be talking points when I'm debating a moron like you, but I don't need them to understand dating and understand human nature and understand that when women are spoiled, they will leave your ass and they are in it only for the money, most of them, right? And then you have the government backing up these women by making divorce a whole package of benefits for women, which also incentivizes them divorcing, you know?
And one thing that I noticed about red pill content is that it is extremely poorly researched and very anecdotal, and like the same things get reposted time and time and time again, used as like consistent representative evidence.
Oh, you know what else is very poorly researched and just anecdotal? Women grape rates. That is very anecdotal. You know, the whole Me Too movement, guys. What was it, like 99% anecdotal? Yet I tell you what, this woman believed in it, right? Now, the truth is, grape statistics are very low. And they also, that most grapes happen in concentrated parts of the world, right? Let's say that they just don't happen as often to like in a third world country with women who don't have rights as they happen in first world countries where women have the most privileges any human has ever benefited from, right? That is highly anecdotal, but she doesn't talk about that one. Oh, you know what else? The wage gap. Yeah, that is very anecdotal. I mean, there is a wage gap, but these won't never go into research as to why that is. You know, they just like to quote anecdotally how that one colleague earned $200 more because he's a man and he has junk beneath his pants, apparently. Again, just whenever they bring this whole evidence part, okay, you little scientists, okay.
Whereas women actually have scientific data and numbers to back up the claims that we're making, right? That marriage actually does benefit men. They live longer when they're married.
Oh, is that true? Can you give me the research? I see you're a lot into research. Can you give me the research on what does it mean, irreconcilable differences? Can you give me the research on that? You know, no-fault divorce, which is the most common usually cause. Can you give me the research on what the fuck does it mean that the spark is gone, or that the glitter wore off, or that the magic is no longer there? Can you give me the research on, oh, I don't feel like myself anymore, I just don't feel happy? Can you give me the research on that?
And women don't. Marriage is just not beneficial to women, period. They do up to 2 hours of more housework and much more childcare than men do. That's self-reported by both women and men. So like the men's data is not reported by women. This is what men are saying, how much time they spend doing chores around the house and spending time with their kids. And it's not matching up with women. Women are getting...
Yeah, that's true. And I simply don't care. Women do more housework. Okay. Men do all the things that women don't. Men carry the groceries. Men move around the sofas or the fridges or the heavy lifting, right? If a robber comes to you on the street, your man is going to defend you. This woman is married, by the way. I recently found out looking at her profile. She's married. Can you guys imagine the moron you have to be to marry this woman? And what a simp also. But the point is, if you, lady, get robbed on the street, or there's some bandit wanting to do something bad to you, who is going to defend you? You know, are you going to defend yourself, or will you expect your man to step in? That's something he does. And we men, you know, we don't constantly fucking bring this up all the freaking time. Men also societally perform more of the heavy lifting work. You know, it's men who work in the sewers, It's men who work those very dangerous jobs that you ladies don't want to do. Why does it need to be a constant dick measuring competition? This is what I don't understand. You know, we men don't hit ourselves in the chest all the time. Oh, I do this, you don't, I do this. No, because we don't need to measure our wieners constantly, comparing ourselves to women. Yet these feminist guys, they have such low self-esteem that they have to be constantly comparing, you know, to men. Oh, I do 2 hours more of housework. Okay, as you should. You know, congratulations, you are fulfilling what God intended for women, because you happen to be better at that job. Do you expect us to also breastfeed kids? Do you want us to do that? Just do your little 2 hours of housework, make me a sandwich, and stop bitching about it, because I don't bitch when I have to do all the tasks that men do.
No help, no benefits in marriage. And speaking of poorly researched, this is the one thing that literally couldn't be less true. If you've ever come across the account Life Take Two, the one that the ex-Mormon woman started, the one that got divorced from her husband after she found out that he has not only been cheating on her, he has been trafficking underage girls across state lines with his buddies. Meanwhile, being like a high-ranking member at their church and like presenting as this really good man and all this stuff. Like, she trusted him so much that she helped him start businesses. And because of their religion, because of their faith.
By the way, guys, when she mentioned child trafficking, I recalled Andrew Tate. There were allegations that he was involved in some female trafficking. What's the evidence of that? You know, he got taken to jail for what was it? It was months. Where was the evidence in that? And as it turns out, there was no evidence. Yet this woman was one of the many who, like a dog, jumped on the pile to attack Andrew Tate. You know, where's the evidence of that? Again, guys, it's just the people that talk about evidence are the most stupid, brainwashed idiots on planet Earth. And, you know, interestingly enough, they only cite the evidence when it benefits them. These people are so annoying, such a pain to deal with.
She was forced to actually put even her businesses that she started, that she worked hard on, in his name. So at the end of the day, the only one that got skinned dry in that divorce was her. And I cannot even explain to you how bad it was. She, first of all, in her video says that only 40% of child support and alimony is ever paid out. Only 40%. So the chances of men getting like skin dry in a divorce are simply not high enough for women for that to be considered a benefit. So there's a 40% chance that you might get a small minuscule amount paid out to you monthly if you get a divorce, and that's a reason to get married for women. That's insane. That's delusional.
Talking about insane, again, you see, right? She's quoting a study. I don't know, haven't read all the studies on planet Earth, so I don't know if it's true that there's like a 40% chance that you'll get less alimony than you deserve. Why don't you cite the study that says the percentage of alimony that's given to the genders, right? I can't quite remember, I read it. It's something insane. It's like 90%, maybe 80%. It's probably above 80%, right? It's probably 90% of the cases. You can look it up. Don't quote me on this. But it's very, very high. Women getting alimony. Men getting alimony, that's like 10%. At best, 20%. Again, you can go check it out. Right? Why don't you cite that? That's evidence. That's factual. Why don't you cite it? Oh, because it doesn't align with your little feminist propaganda bullshit. So we have to mention like the study or like the evidence that benefits us. Well, again, oh guys, look at me, I'm a victim. Yes, women get 90% of alimony, but sometimes we don't get the full amount. Oh no, I'm gonna go shed a tear over it.
She also said that since they didn't own like technically any property together, he kicked her out of their condo that they were renting. The day she found out about everything he was doing, he went to the bank, she said, and he pulled out all the money in their joint account. And she has not recouped that money since. She said that her crappy divorce attorney cost her more money than she received back in child support payments over the next 3 years. Who's getting skin dry? She had to live in her car with her children. Her children had to have Tupperware boxes full of their stuff and their homework and everything. And they had to couch surf while she slept in her car. Her and her children were homeless. Not only that, but he quit his job and pulled his mother out of her retirement home so that he could say he has another dependent so that he doesn't have to pay child support.
Okay, I don't give a shit. Okay, so sorry to hear about that lady. I just don't give a shit. You know, for someone who started the video talking about how, oh, the red pill is just anecdotal. You're spending 2 minutes on one anecdote, okay? Give me some evidence. Oh, that's not a study, that's anecdotal. Yeah, which, again, it's anecdotal. You're giving me this one extreme example. I don't think that most women are dealing with a child trafficking rapist, alright? So don't care about your story, honestly. You can tell it to me over a cup of coffee. I'll listen to it. I'll shed a tear for this woman that's in a very bad situation, okay. But I don't understand how this supports the claim that somehow women don't benefit from marriage. From divorce, excuse me. Because there's this one woman, guys, a Mormon woman that she knows that got a really bad deal out of it. You know? That's her evidence. Oh my hell.
And so that he could say he doesn't have a job so that he didn't have to pay child support. And by the time he started paying child support, he is getting charged so little that it barely covers the gas money that she uses to drive her children to see him. If that's not getting skinned alive and dry in a fucking divorce, then I do not know what is. And I've never heard of this happening to a man, ever. The other thing with the whole being skinned alive for like child support and stuff.
I'm gonna pause right here. She's never heard this happen to a man. Where I don't know any men that have been dealing with a child trafficking woman either. But I know many, many, many men that have gotten a bad deal out of divorce. Okay? Now it strikes me that you, given that you've spent years trying to get to the bottom of this, you don't know any men, really? You don't know any men who have gotten a bad deal? I'll tell you something else anecdotal, you little B-word. I was speaking to this woman, guys. She's a feminist, a polysexual, just my type of person, right? But we are acquaintances. She used to like me in the past. I'm just, you know, not important, but I wanted to get in. The fact is, we were speaking, now currently she's like a child psychologist that deals with children who are, you know, going through their parents' divorces. And she's a feminist, she's a radical feminist, you know. And she told me, because she works in those centers of like meeting the parents, and I asked her, knowing the answer, of course, well, you know, what percentage of men get child custody, would you say? And she told me, oh, barely none. She herself, the radical feminist, told me, if a woman doesn't do hard substances and her life is an absolutely chaotic mess, she will get child custody. I didn't reply to that, you know, I just wanted for that to sink in, because I don't know how the hell can you be such a feminist and work in a field where men are getting screwed from behind so often and so consistently, right? But there you have it. There you have the anecdote. I don't need to look it up. I leave this woman for the scientists like this woman. Go look it up. What percentage of men get child custody and for what reasons? Because most of the time, if the woman, again, is not pumping different substances into her veins, she will get child custody, right? Why don't you speak about that disparity in marriages? Of course, because it doesn't support her narrative. What a moron.
You do realize that child support is inversely and directly correlated to how much time you spend with your children. So if you're complaining that your child support is really high, think about the fact that you don't spend time with them.
I'm gonna pause it again. She's just so dumb, guys. Because we can use this argument for what you mentioned earlier. So you're saying, oh, you see, women should get more child custody because they spend more time with the kids. Okay, fair enough. But how is it then that you complain about the 2 hours of housework you do more? Well, it just so happens that women give birth, and thus women spend more time with children naturally. It also so happens that men tend to work longer shifts and more hours, which is maybe another reason why women, you know, spend more time at home doing more housework. You know, have you thought about that, you moron? Again, when it benefits you, we have to bring up the fact that, oh, you see, it's only natural that women will spend more time with kids. This is why they deserve more money. But when it doesn't benefit you, oh no, these 2 extra hours that the average woman puts in, well, let me mention that. Let me mention the disparity in that. You know, of course, without mentioning that it's only natural for it to be this way.
That's why it's high, because somebody else is like taking on the responsibility of raising your children. So if you want a low amount of child support, simply take care of your children. That's all. That's what women have to do. You never hear about women complaining about all this child support that they have to pay to their child's father. That's because the fathers don't typically take on the bulk of the child care. And then they...
I mean, you just complained about it 2 minutes ago, but okay.
complain about the minuscule amount of child support that they have to pay, which they would be spending a lot more money if they were actually raising their children, and they know that. So yeah, no, even if what you were saying was true, it still wouldn't be a good enough reason for women to get married. Next.
Ooh, next. What a mic drop moment. Holy crap, guys. Did I just get raped by this woman? Holy hell, she just told me a new one open. Next. Okay. No, all your arguments were bullshit. You basically spent... It's a 4-minute video, right? You spent 3 minutes talking anecdotally about one extreme example you know. Is that the debunking red pill arguments? Again, from a person who literally starts the video by saying that anecdotal doesn't cover it. And then she mentions this one study of like, oh, women sometimes get less alimony, without getting into the whole topic. I mean, guys, my hell. My lord, guys, this woman. But anyway. Will I do more of these, guys? I quite enjoy them. Because they're so stupid, right? But now, guys, no article story today. Raid is gonna have to survive without our advice for one day. Instead, gather around the fire, boys, because your 4,000-year-old pal has a story to tell you. Now, it's a story about this very good man, very beautiful man, the massive anchor between his legs, and yes, I'm talking about myself. So, when I was younger, this was like 4,000 years ago, I didn't care about women. Your mommy couldn't care less, guys, I tell you. Now, this wasn't out of malice. This wasn't because I was a bad boy. I've always been a good boy, just like Kampu. But, you know, I was simply young and naive and green, and I didn't know better. That's the whole reason. It was out of naivety, right? But, yeah, I just simply didn't care about women. And that's, of course, when I had the most success with them. You know, I had quite a few women. Some wanting a relationship, some wanting casual things. There was this woman, we decided to just kiss. No S3X though, you know, but just kiss, just mess around, and we said, no feelings, right? And 2 weeks later, wouldn't you know, she told me, she started crying, right? I just want a relationship. And I told her, hell no. I told her, hey, we said 2 weeks ago, we're not having a relationship, right? I mean, you moron, if I wanted a relationship, I would have asked already. What does it tell you that I just want to kiss without having a relationship, right? Well, what does that tell you about my aspirations with you? But anyway, she told me that, she started crying. And again, guys, I wasn't a bad man. I didn't enjoy women suffering, just like I do now. So we sat down, we talked, I tried to calm her down. I told her the usual mumbo jumbo of, oh, I'm not ready for a relationship. Oh no, you're too good for me. You're such a good woman. You know, it's like a script you read and it acts like a pacifier and they stop crying like babies. So I told her the whole mumbo jumbo and that was it, right? Then there was this other woman who wanted to kiss. I told her no. She was so after me. There was this other woman who later became my girlfriend, unfortunately for me. But, you know, she really liked me. She wanted to kiss. We then set a date, which I forgot about. And she texted me. And I opened my phone an hour and a half later. And she was like, where are you? And I told her, I'm just at home chilling. Why? And she told me, oh, we had a date. I've been sitting in the park for an hour and a half. So there's that, right? I just simply couldn't care less. And again, the whole reason I'm mentioning this, guys, this whole story, is because, well, we'll get to the point, the moral of the story a bit later. But yeah, that's what women like, right? And if you're an older guy, you probably know this at this point. But I see some guys who, sorry guys, more women texting me. They're after me all the time. They just can't get it. What was I saying? Yeah, they just like you treating them bad. And I see some men who still don't understand this because it's not reasonable, right? Why would someone want you to treat him bad? I know. Women. Am I right, fellas? And so anyway. Especially my ex-girlfriend was so after me, guys, and I couldn't care less. I was simply not that invested. You know, and they loved that crap. But then, I matured. I grew up. I understood how to treat women better. I started caring about them. And that's when the downfall happened, right? I've been dumped 2 times. I've had 2 relationships. I've treated both these women like deities, you know, like royalty, guys. I've treated them like freaking princesses, you know. No simp behavior. It's just I care about them, I value their bodies, I appreciate the time spent together, I make them gifts, I pay them attention, you know, all the package, guys. And they just done my ass twice, right? Guys, they hate it. They hate a man who is available and invested. They hate that shit. They don't want to admit it, but it's true. All right? And you can see by their actions. Because again, when I didn't care about women, and I simply, you know, it's whatever, I will often dump them. They were after me, you know? Then I suddenly started treating them good, and they fucking run away from me. They hate it. They don't want to be part of it, you know? They're bored. They're like not impressed. Like, okay, you want to die for me? You ready to fight a pack of lions for me? Okay, I'll take it, I guess. They're just not impressed. They don't like it. On the other hand, a man who tells them, yeah, we might kiss, we might not, I really care, I forgot about you 2 days ago. Oh, now we're talking, right? And so, here's the advice, right, that I will give you. We go back to this on the channel, and we've been talking about it, which is, there are 2 options nowadays if you're a man in the West. One is, play the game according to their rules, because women set the rules, or don't play the game, which is like most likely you're gonna end up single, right? If you don't want to play the game. Now, personally, guys, I simply don't want to play the game. I could be the same asshole I was years ago. I could play all these games and these mind tricks and acting nonchalant and not caring about women and just, you know, playing with them. I could, but I don't want to. I really don't like that for myself, you know? Because I'm not that 15-year-old boy anymore. I'm a grown man. Ideally, I will want to respect a woman and cherish her and treat her good and value her and all that. That's what I want. I simply don't want to settle for less, you know? I don't want to be using women for their bodies. I don't want to be playing them. I don't want to be manipulating them. I really don't want to. I don't get enjoyment out of that. It's not what I think will make me a better man. You know, and so again, that's what most men face, right? You can either play the game according to their rules, or you will most likely end up single, because the truth is, guys, most women, they don't want a good man. Don't listen to them talking about their high standards and what they want to do. It's all a bunch of crap. Look at what they do. Do their actions reflect what they keep yapping about? No, it doesn't. They just keep jumping from one bad boy to another. They always like the unavailable man. They always like the men who treat them poorly. You know, you should not treat them very poorly, because then maybe it's too much. You know, you don't have to beat them all around the house, but, you know, probably like 70% bad, 30% good treatment, right? That's probably a magical number. Now I'm inversed. I never said I'm the perfect boyfriend, you know, regarding my 2 last relationships. I had my mistakes. But overall, I would say 70% good treatment. 30%, maybe even 30 is too much. But let's say 30% bad treatment, right? Because again, I matured, I understood how to treat women and all that. And, well, the 70% good treatment doesn't work for me. The 30% good treatment and 70% bad treatment, that worked like a charm. You know, you had all these women infatuated with that treatment, with that modus operandi. So there's that, right? Now, again, I will personally advise you to not do that. I think that it doesn't benefit you as a man, personally, character-wise, to be playing these stupid-ass games and to be behaving like a 15-year-old frat boy or bad boy. I don't know how to call it. Not that there's something inherently wrong with frat boys. But talking about inherently, I don't think that women are like this by their nature. I don't think that women, you know, it's in their nature to be dumbasses. No, I think that's societal, cultural. I think it has to do with the internet and with the amount of options women have. There's a lot of factors, right? I'll maybe ask my science friend from the past video to do a research on that. But yeah, I don't think it's inherent in women. So you may still find a woman that likes the good things. I'm sorry about that one lady, that one lady out of 1,000 who doesn't like bad boys, and I'm just putting you in the same bag. But sorry, this is our surroundings, okay? As a man, these are the women we are surrounded by, the ones who like bad boys, right? You can miss out on a good one because you treat them all the same, but it will still be better than having to deal with all these harpies, if you ask me, right? So again, sorry to that one lady, that one person who isn't like this, but most women, they are just stupid. They want you to treat them badly. They want you to forget about dates. They want you to not care about them. They want you to be less invested than they are. And eventually give them like candy, you know, eventually from time to time, like a good day, a good moment. This is how women are. Now, I found this for myself. If you're an older guy, you probably have found this for yourself as well. But you maybe recall having these thoughts when you were younger, right? So for the younger guys, make your choice. Be true to yourself as a man, or decide to play these stupid ass games to get the approval of women you shouldn't care about. And if you're an older guy and you chose the first option, well, congratulations. You know, I think you chose good. Maybe you're a dude who hasn't touched a woman in 20 years. And I'm so happy that you didn't settle for being a moron, right? I'm so happy you didn't settle for playing the game according to their rules, for bending the knee to women's stupid desires that are confronted with your desire to be a man, right? Because most women will say that all men are big bad wolves. No, the reality is most men want to be good men. Most men want to treat their girls right. Most men want to find deep value and purpose in their relationships, and they're not about playing games. Which is another reason why dating suffers, right? Because we have a mismatch between the type of men there are and the type of women and what they desire. But gentlemen, I've yapped for too long now. I'll leave you off here. Moral of the story, women are stupid and they want to be treated badly, right? So go ahead and do that if you care about these women's approvals. And if you don't, well, I think you'll quite enjoy this channel because we're all about growth and not being simps and not needing the attention and validation from harpies. But anyway, gentlemen, thank you for joining. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Thank you for our conversation. Leave me your comments below. I read them and I enjoy them. And I'll see you next time, guys. Have a good one.